Thursday, December 14th. Would you please join me in the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. Do we have any public announcements?
Hello, everyone. If you are joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you're joining us in person, we'll have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Muiz room, and we also have assisted listening devices available. Please come to me if you would like one, and I will get one for you. We ask that all speakers today remember to speak slowly and clearly during the meeting. This helps with the accuracy of the closed captioning. There will be multiple chances during the meeting for public comment virtually. During these times, if you would like to speak, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. If you are in Microsoft Teams, this is a small hand button. If you are calling in on the phone, you will need to hit *5 to raise your hand. Then once called on, you will need to hit *6 to unmute. If you have any questions during the meeting, please find me and I will help. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Someone like to read a proclamation?
Okay, this is a proclamation of the City of Missoula and Missoula County. Whereas the winter poses extreme hardship for unsheltered and inadequately housed individuals, families, and children in Missoula, and whereas residents of Missoula will gather on the longest night of the year, December 21st, 2023, to honor and remember homeless individuals who have died in our community and environs. And whereas since 1990, December 21st, has been designated National Homeless Persons Memorial Day by the National Coalition for the Homeless and the National Healthcare for the Homeless Council, and is recognized by cities and states nationwide. And whereas in remembering those who have died without a house of their own, we keep urgent the cause of ending homelessness, the need for compassionate response, and the city and county's collective commitment to prevent such deaths in the future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Missoula Board of County Commissioners, and Andrea Davis, Mayor of the City of Missoula, do hereby recognize the 21st day of December 2023 as Homeless Persons Memorial Day, dated and signed this day, December 7th, by the Board of County Commissioners and Mayor and Andrea Davis.
Great, thanks.
Sorry. Does that take place at the courthouse?
Last year was on the courthouse steps. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
December 21st.
Correct. I just didn't know what's the location.
Yeah,
Courthouse
last year I was on the courthouse steps on the south side of the building, but do not know for sure if that's where it is this.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, well, I have a small announcement.
Yes.
I do believe this is the last time I will be doing this, at least for another couple of years, and that we switch chairs of the Board of County Commissioners. And
You will still be sitting at the dais
I
here.
won't be doing
Yes.
this.
Okay, okay.
This one. Yeah.
Yes, he is resigning from office today.
You get a lot of excited people. No, I just would be sitting on the left or the right here, and someone else would be chairing these meetings. But
I
it's
believe that's going to be Stromae, right?
We will see.
we will see. We rotate. We just can't remember. But it is Cheryl's thing. But I would say I appreciate everyone's patience with my lack of mastery of parliamentary procedure, and Vinny's been super gentle, and I appreciate that. Thank you, and have enjoyed it and hopefully done it well. Okay, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? Please let us know your name and push the green button.
Good afternoon. My name is Josh Van de Wettering. I'm hoping to comment on the menorah issue that I realize has been a controversy, and I'm sorry I was not.
You're a week late, sir.
I am a day late, and hopefully not a dollar short. I did have a chance to review the previous comments online, and I do feel I'm somewhat uniquely positioned to comment for a few reasons. For one thing, I too am Jewish. And Josh, I really appreciated your heartfelt comments. They spoke very much to me also. I think you are exactly the right amount of Jewish.
Thanks.
I am also a lifelong Missoulian. And I'm now 60 years old, which is a bit of a shock to me, but my memory now in the Jewish community in Missoula, Montana goes back quite a ways. And finally, third, I am also a lawyer. And at bottom, I really think this issue is a legal political issue. And so I guess I want to address both the criticisms of the commissioner's decision, which I believe were unfair, and then I want to move to the issue of what should we do about putting a menorah out. So I did review, or I looked at the comments online, or I saw the video of the previous meeting online. And I heard Rabbi Vogel complain or comment that he believed that a political decision, the reasoning for the decision was wrong. And I really feel this whole thing has been turned on its head. To me, Rabbi Vogel is a private citizen who's gone to his public political county commission and asked for a political decision, and then is frustrated that the commission made a political decision. And I guess I want to start by emphasizing this is not an initiative of the commissioners that has raised the ire of the people. This is a response to a private citizen's specific request for his own group, Jewish people, which is my group too. And I think it's unfair, frankly, to suggest that the commission's political decision or making a decision based on the politics of the situation was unfair. That's what you guys are supposed to do. You've done well, and I appreciate your decision. And I do take some exception to a number of the things that Rabbi Vogel said. I want to start by, well, that one, I guess, but I also want to comment on the degree to which his organization, Chabad, represents all Jews. It most certainly does not. And he acknowledged in the beginning of his statements that he does not speak for all Jews, but it felt to me like as he went on, he did kind of sound like he was speaking for all Jews. He said at a couple of points, Jewish people want this. We want this. He offered the example of Chabad being all over the world and menorahs being placed all over the world. And of course, as a lawyer, I went back and I read the cases. I have to say, every single case I looked at was Chabad. I did not see any other Jewish group of any kind raising a desire to have a menorah. So to the degree that he has offered the presence of Chabad or the presence of lots of menorahs around as sort of an indication that Jewish people want this, I disagree with that. I don't think that's really the evidence. And I will say, as a Jew in Montana for 60 years, I have never, ever, not even one time, heard any Jew say, gosh darn, we should have a menorah out on the courthouse lawn. Never have heard that. And when the topic has ever come up, I've only heard Jews say, gosh, yeah, I don't think we should have a menorah on the courthouse lawn. And that is ultimately my position also. So we heard a lot of, and I heard some other criticisms too, that your decision makes Jews feel like we're hiding. I certainly don't feel that way. I think that's unfair to come to the commission, ask for a decision, and then say you have somehow sent Jews into hiding. I don't believe that's true at all. And again, in my 60 years, I have never, ever in Missoula, Montana, felt that we are, I believe in Rabbi Vogel's words, sidelined somehow. I just don't think that's true. For goodness sakes, we have a Jewish member. I myself have run for office countywide in Missoula. I got trounced, but it had nothing to do with being Jewish. It didn't come up at all. I just don't think, in my experience at least, that Jews are sidelined in Missoula. And does love live here? I think it does. You know, when neo-Nazis showed up in front of Har Shalom, people showed up to protest. I lived in Billings, Montana around the time the whole not in our town thing came up. And it was amazing. It was amazing. You know, I went to high school in Billings, although I grew up here, and people showed up. So this idea that somehow we Jews are not accepted in Missoula County or sidelined in Missoula County, I certainly don't feel that way. I've never heard any other Jew feel that way. And maybe the Chabad group feels that way. But I guess I want to emphasize that when Rabbi Vogel comes up here, he's speaking for the Chabad group and not for Jews overall. And I don't think menorahs all over the place is any indication that Jews generally across the country or in Missoula County want menorahs up. So, and I feel, like I say, I feel the whole thing's been turned on its head. We've been arguing about your why nots, the reasons you gave, which I think are very good for the why not, including the current political situation. Because with respect to the question of will this be misinterpreted? Yeah, of course it will be misinterpreted, because as you very correctly pointed out, Josh, a symbol is just stark. There's no nuance, there's no subtlety. In fact, I would suggest that it is kind of an empty vessel that any person can fill with their own interpretation. And frankly, I would use Rabbi Vogel's own understanding of what the menorah means as an example of that. He told us that the menorah is both a Jewish symbol and a universally recognized symbol of peace and light. I don't really think that. I have not met that universality, but I guess my question is, even from his perspective, which is it going to be? If we stick a menorah out on the courthouse lawn, is it a religious symbol? If it is, I think that's unconstitutional. And of course, you're a political body. You shouldn't be making a religious stand of any kind. So I assume he's asking for a political decision. He's asking for exactly what he got, which was a decision based on the politics of the current situation. So those are my responses to the why nots. And I guess the other question then, the much bigger question is why? Should we put a menorah out on the lawn? And my question is, why? Why do we want to do that? Well, that's Chabad's thing, right? Like I say, I went through the cases. I couldn't find a single case that was anything but Chabad. That's kind of one of the things they do. And they do a lot of good stuff. And I don't mean to be critical of them as an organization. They have every right to pursue their ends in our free country as other Jews or other religions have their right. But so why? As a Jew, I don't feel that I want the menorah out there on the lawn. I've never felt that way. And as I said, I've never talked to a Jew who feels that way. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to send a message? I appreciate the rabbi's suggestion that the Jewish people of Missoula County need a little boost right now. I mean, need to know that we're supported. And I will quickly add, I don't think it's just the Jewish people of Missoula County. We have Palestinian residents in our county, and I bet they're feeling like they could use a real expression of support also. So my suggestion is, if you want to support the Jewish community or the Palestinian community, or as you said, Josh, communities that are vulnerable, which includes us, and I will freely admit that I am feeling that way as a Jew, much to my surprise, frankly. I'm a little surprised at my feelings, and they're very deep and they're very real. But I've got to think a lot of non-Jews are having similar feelings. So if you want to make a statement, I would suggest do that. Make a statement, make a proclamation of some kind, make it in words so we don't have an empty vessel that's susceptible to anyone filling it with meaning. And if we do want to put something out on the courthouse lawn, if we do want to memorialize something, may I suggest that we put out the Bill of Rights? Because that's something that we all have. And as a Jew in a free country, that's what I think keeps me safe, is the Establishment Clause, our freedom. That's what I would suggest. No menorah, yes to the Bill of Rights. And then I noticed, Juanita, that you asked also, so what do you feel about the presentation as it is? And I guess my personal feeling, I kind of don't even want the menorah next to the Christmas tree. On the other hand, I love the Christmas tree. When I used to work for the county, my kids loved to come down to see that great big giant tree. That's been an exciting time. When I was a little kid, we lived up in Grant Creek, and my mom would bring me to town every Christmas season. We go shopping. JCPenney was right downtown. Oh, it was so exciting for me. And the Christmas decorations were all up. My Jewish mother really loved them. So I hope we'll keep the Christmas decorations, but I heard one of the commentators say, or the commenters say, that he thought it should be all or nothing, no Christmas tree. And here's, I guess, here's one of the problems of this whole area of the law, right? And I hope you will cleave to your lawyers on this one, because this one is a tough one and it is changing. The US Supreme Court has dumped the old test, and it's kind of an open question as to what's coming next. So it is a very fraught area of the law. But one of the things I notice in that fraught area of the law is that the cases generally come down by saying, if that thing that we think of as a religious symbol, a Christmas tree or a menorah, is sort of sapped of its religious piece, then it's okay. And generally the courts have held that a Christmas tree is not really religious. I hear a lot of Christians worry, complain, lament that Christ has been taken out of Christmas. And honestly, I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, it doesn't affect me as a Jew, and I personally like all of the non-religious stuff about it. I like the gift giving. I like the family gathering. I like that we slow down in the world. I like that we talk about peace. I like all of those sort of non-Christian things, but I feel for my Christian friends who feel that they're losing their religion. And I don't want that to happen to the menorah, frankly. If we have to put the menorah up in a way that saps its religiosity, gosh, as a Jew, I don't want that. So I guess my message is, let's don't put a menorah out on the lawn, please. And my final thing is, if we are going to have a menorah somewhere, I don't like the Chabad menorahs. I don't find them very attractive. I find them to be kind of cold and impersonal. And that one down at the fairgrounds, which I've talked to a number of people about, and the universal reaction to me has been, oh, really? I hadn't noticed that. I have noticed it, though. I personally don't like it. I think it looks terrible. It is behind a chain link fence. It's kind of leaning off to one side. It's there all by itself. I don't think it meets constitutional muster because it's there by itself. I still think that the menorah standing alone is a religious symbol. But to me, behind that fence, I think of concentration camps. I hate it. I mean, it sure doesn't make me feel better as a Jew. It makes me feel worse. I would like to see that thing taken down. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by today. Oh, I was looking for Matt. Matt
I
must
know.
be online.
Matt, you can go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Matt Heimel with Planning Development and Sustainability. Just popping on to give a quick note that we did have an advertisement for a public hearing regarding floodplain regulations today. That public hearing is canceled, and we are on track with reposting and holding that hearing in the next couple of months. So if anyone is interested, stay tuned, and we'll have more information out here in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, seeing no other public comment, our current claims list, claims received as of November 29th, 2023 to December 4th, 2023 by the Commissioner's Office, total $1,603,997.21. Today we have two public hearings. They're both on Marshall Mountain, and Juniper and Kaylee will lead us off.
Excellent, thanks. Just a moment while we get the PowerPoint pulled up. That's good. Okay, great. Well, good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Juniper Davis. I am the manager of Missoula County Parks, Trails, and Open Lands. And today I'll be tag teaming this presentation with Kaylee Becker, who also works for Parks, Trails, and Open Lands. She is our Open Lands project manager. The two of us have been working in partnership on this project, along with Chet Krauser and many others from the community that we'll be talking about today and hearing from today as well. We're very pleased to be here at this meeting today. It has been the culmination of a number of months or years of work. And the Commission has before it some important decisions to make around the acquisition, ownership, and long-term management of Marshall Mountain. We're going to start off this presentation by giving some project background, getting everybody up to speed on the current status of this project, and then turning it over to you, the Commission, to make some of that final decision making. So first, a project timeline to orient everybody to where we are with this project, at least over the course of the last 3 years. What I want to acknowledge at the forefront is that community members and partners have been committed and dedicated to Marshall Mountain for really decades. There's been a strong ethic of public access, public participation, and public commitment to this site that spans well beyond the time that's represented on this slide. Nonetheless, our work here really is represented here starting in 2022. In 2022, the city, county, and other partners came together to determine whether we could propose to this community a model that would allow for continued public access at Marshall Mountain in a way that could be ensured for generations to come. As part of that work of trying to articulate to the community and hear from the community what this might look like, we all engaged in some really robust community engagement that centered around the development of a conceptual master plan. Moving from 2022 into 2023, folks in this room will probably remember that we had a press event up at Marshall Mountain where we shared with the community the proposed model that the city and county and partners had come together to determine would be the one we put forward to the community for consideration. That proposed model that we released at that press conference was a suggestion that local government proceed to take on public ownership of Marshall Mountain. That proposal included a consideration for the county to step in as the long-term owner and manager of the property in partnership, continued partnership with the city, and in continued partnership with community organizations. Moving forward from spring of 2023, we all, and a large group of us, have continued to flesh out that model, to assess it, to continue with the work with the master planning, community engagement, to vet the project, to conduct due diligence, and to be able to then come here today to you, the commission, with some recommendations around whether we move forward with that proposed model for public ownership and long-term management of Marshall Mountain. That's our timeline, where we are today. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kaylee to handle a couple more slides.
Thanks. So I think we're all mostly familiar at this point with where Marshall Mountain is, but those who are maybe just tuning in, it's always good to just recenter and locate where this is. So Marshall Mountain is a approximately 480 acre area that is located at the headwaters of Marshall Creek, which is a tributary of the Clark Fork River. This area has really become a gateway and a hub for a variety of recreational opportunities and does contain important aquatic and terrestrial habitat. And this habitat extends across adjacent public land, which enhances connectivity at both a local and a regional scale. It's also, of course, important to note that this land is located in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kootenai tribes, and it is recognized by a traditional place name that translates roughly to Has White Clay by the Salish, Pend Oreille, and Kootenai tribes. In terms of recreation uses here, those started approximately in the 1920s and have continued and evolved through today, including originally some backcountry skiing, and as time went by, through development of a ski resort, and then after the ski resort, other uses such as hiking and mountain biking and educational opportunities have all been added to this site. So zooming in a little bit to the specific property we're looking at, you can see from this map that it is comprised of 3 separate parcels. Each are approximately 160 acres, and they are owned by 3 separate entities. I think it's best to explain this current ownership composition through a little bit of the history of Marshall Mountain. So as I mentioned, it was a ski area. I'm sure people in the room today had skied there or learned to ski there when it was operating until about 2002, and that was on the 2 southern parcels currently owned by Izzy Dog LLC and Five Valleys Land Trust. Prior to Five Valleys Land Trust owning that parcel, though, it was owned by by Plum Creek and was actually purchased by the Nature Conservancy, which really played a key part in where we are today, because they purchased it as part of this larger Montana Legacy project and then held this specific parcel back. And the rest of their lands mostly went to federal agencies, but this one was retained for community use and was transferred to Five Valleys Land Trust to conserve and help find that community outcome. And then in 2021, Izzy Dog LLC, which is a group of local philanthropists, purchased what we call the base area of Marshall Mountain, and the Conservation Fund, which is a national conservation nonprofit, purchased the northern parcel in April 2023. It's important to note too that while we talk about recreation uses here, that the area has been open to the broader public since about 2021 through a lease agreement with the city, where those two southern parcels, the Izzy Dog and the Five Valleys Land Trust parcels. In terms of what we're looking at today, this purchase by local government would secure and expand existing public access at Marshall Mountain. So next, we're going to go over some of the pieces of the assessment of the proposed county acquisition and ownership. So city and county staff have been working to secure funding, conduct due diligence, and develop ownership and management models for Marshall Mountain for this proposed park over the past year. And additional detail on all of these elements can be found in the staff report if anybody would like to look there. So first, I'm going to go over, there's this checklist of the assessment and due diligence that staff has been working on to complete, and it all relates to ownership and management. I want to be clear too that these aren't just pieces that would be completed as solely just acquisition of land, but these are really assessment and due diligence pieces that relate to not just the acquisition, but what comes after the actual ownership and the management. We're looking holistically at, if we purchase this, what does this entail, not just to buy, but to be the owner of this public land. And so we really need that full picture to assess what this would look like. So in terms of the different types of assessments that were done, it was report reviewing and site visits by qualified contractors, staff, members of county advisory committees. On all these different items you see in the list on the slide, including securing funding for the property, title review, appraisals, which are, I want to just note, those are in progress, those aren't final yet, purchase agreements with each landowner, environmental assessments, natural resource inventories, which largely were conducted by the city of Missoula prior to this project, probably in like 2020, 2021. And then facility and building assessments. So over all of that work, we're obviously pleased to say that there were no surprises or issues that came up that would impede achieving the goals and the vision of this project as we've framed it. And I really do also want to just note here too that all of this takes a lot of time, and it has been really incredible through the generosity of the participating landowners that we have been given the time to fully vet this project and go through all of these steps that are critical, including public process and input and all these assessments. So thank you. Next, I want to go over the project budget a little bit. This is a slide I think we've shown in many presentations. It hasn't changed, but it's still important to review. So obviously a lot of work went into fundraising and securing all these separate pieces, as well as even just getting to the point of putting together a project budget. So the blue table outlines different project costs. I realize that screen might be a little hard to read, so I'm just gonna give a highlight in case people are having a hard time reading that. For the estimated project budget, that is made up of the estimated land value, which is 3.2 million. Again, that's estimated. We don't have final appraisals. Phase 1 and 2 environmental assessments, land appraisals, closing fees, legal fees, and then costs to open the site to the public. And that piece is around $600,000. And that comes to a total for all those items of approximately $3,882,000. We are obviously happy to say we have fully fundraised for this project, and that is due to the efforts of awards from multiple grant programs, as well as the Missoula County Open Space Bond. So the different funding sources that we've been able to secure are the Community Forest Program funding, which is a national program, $600,000. Very generous in-kind donations from the landowners through sales of their properties at below market value. the Conservation Alliance, the Environmental Protection Agency, Friends of Missoula Parks, and the $2 million that was approved by the city and the county for the open space bond. One thing I wanted, as I've said a few times here, is that those final appraisals are not complete. I do want to be clear that that is not going to change the total cost of the project. Any changes in value from what we've estimated will really just change the in-kind contribution from the landowners. So we would not anticipate having a situation where the final appraisals come through and we have an increased project cost. That's not how it is set up. So that's why it's fine that we're still waiting and they are being completed through the Forest Services program as required through the community forest program. I think that's all to go over there, though I'm happy to obviously answer questions at the end if there's any additional detail people want to go over. And with that, I'll hand it back to Juniper.
Thanks, Kaylee. I appreciate that. Not in the notes for the slides. I'll just say what fun it has been working with Kaylee on this project over these past months, and I really appreciated your hard work and diligence working on this. It's been a lot of effort, but with a lot of fun times too, so appreciate it. So in addition to the site assessments, the legal due diligence, and the good work that Kaylee has been leading, pursuing the funding and leading us towards closing and hopeful acquisition of the projects, we've also been thoroughly assessing the proposed model for partnership at a future Marshall Mountain Park. So how do we partner with the city? How do we partner with our communities and nonprofits? How do we put together a management model that's really going to work for the county in the lead, but also for our community in the long term? The vision that we are working towards is one that would have robust partnership. The county in the lead, yes, but with the city right there, hip to hip with us, and being aided along the way by our governmental and non-governmental partnerships. So I'm going to discuss that in a little bit more detail in the upcoming slides. Our proposed management framework, and again, I feel like I'm repeating this a little bit, but for the sake of just being exceptionally clear, the partnership we're proposing is built upon a foundation of county ownership and management. And I joke about this, but some folks are still kind of missing this piece, and it is fairly important. So it is based upon county ownership and management of Marshall Mountain Park. But that is with the buttressing and the support of a strong partnership with the city and our community partners. So we won't be going at it alone. The plan is for the city to remain a critical component of our success up at Marshall Mountain Park. This will be done in part through continued funding of Marshall Mountain Park, but even more so, and I think of great significance to this community, is their ability to pull off pretty phenomenal recreational programming that has an impact in kids and adults' lives. We are aiming to see kids' camps up at Marshall Mountain Park, youth sports, adult opportunities for adaptive recreation. The list goes on, and we will have the city as a critical partner in providing that. The other piece of Marshall Mountain that we've already mentioned before, but is truly unique, is the community's commitment to this area. It's been decades long in the making, and it has only grown stronger over time. So another piece of this partnership, of course, is for us to continue to cooperate and continue to partner with nonprofit groups. We can enter, and we likely will, into MOUs, MOAs, lease agreements, or others that are needed, contracts, et cetera, that will help us utilize and leverage the good work of volunteers, of nonprofits and their ability to grant write and fundraise. We'll work with agency partners, both at the state and the federal level, to do important forest management work and conservation and restoration. We've had many meetings, many meetings over the course of the last couple of years with all of these entities that I've mentioned. And I can very confidently say we have many partners committed to remaining at the table with us as we move forward with Marshall Mountain. We in government, when we join forces with another governmental entity, we'll often enter into an interlocal agreement. And that will spell out and define the relationship that we will use as we move forward on an important initiative. So in this case with Marshall Mountain, we have finalized a draft of the interlocal, which the commission will be considering today. And I want to talk a little bit more about what's in that interlocal and explain in a little bit more detail what that county and city partnership looks like. Just a minute while I get my notes pulled back up. Largely, this interlocal mirrors what I've spoken about so far today. So it certainly mentions that the county will be the owner and the manager. It mentions in great detail the city's role in providing recreation programming. It also talks to the cost sharing for Marshall Mountain. There's been a commitment at this point between the county and the city to each year contribute equal cash contributions to the long-term management of Marshall Mountain Park. This is a really important component of the success of this project. And I really think, in my opinion, that the commitment of both the city and the county to do this in equal partnership sets a really strong foundation for this project moving forward. The interlocal also speaks to how we will allocate site revenues, some of our permitting and fee structure, a decision-making framework, and a lot of other kind of nitty-gritty details that might bore you if I listed them out in too much detail. But on its face, it really sets a vision for this partnership moving forward. Last but not least, I want to mention as well that the interlocal includes in it the finalization of the conceptual master plan, which we began back in 2022 with strong community engagement. This conceptual master plan really sets the vision for the future improvements and programming at Marshall Mountain. And by way of adopting the interlocal, we will also be finalizing the conceptual master plan. So that's of particular note for today's decision making. Finally, I want to just give a little bit more on the specifics of what the costs to manage Marshall Mountain are estimated to be for the future. This is a question that we've received pretty regularly over the last couple of months, and at every opportunity we've tried to be as clear as we can so that our partners and the community are fully aware of this. This slide represents what we call comprehensive management costs for Marshall Mountain. Comprehensive management is a pretty complex body of work, and I just really want to emphasize that it's more than just going up there and emptying the garbage cans, making sure the vault toilet or porta potty or whatever you have is in a functioning order. These 3 parcels comprise 480 acres. We have natural resource restoration projects in mind. We have forest management that we need to complete. We have existing trails that need to be maintained, future trails that will increase our level of maintenance responsibility, event permitting. If we move forward with improvements, there'll be contracting. Ever you've got budgeting, administrative operations, the list goes on and on. It's a pretty complex site and will require us to do a decent job at managing that site for the public into the future. So we have an estimate that costs at full comprehensive management will be $424,000 a year. We are realistic in knowing that we will need to ramp up over the course of 3 years, which is reflected in this slide, such that we will build up our operations and our management capacity over the course of those years to the point where we are performing this comprehensive management. In this current fiscal year that we're in, FY24, the commission did allocate $105,000 to management of Marshall Mountain in this upcoming year. And also in this current fiscal year, the city has committed to contributing an equal amount in-kind contributions through their ongoing management, which they have been doing through a lease agreement with the property owners. In future years, the city's contribution would be cash, but in this year, it would be an in-kind contribution. Okay, we're moving right into the last couple of slides. So with this piece, I want to take a moment to summarize public engagement and input, which has been pretty extensive throughout this process because it's been ongoing for so many years. Am I looking at the right slide? Yes. All right, moving along on my slides. Through numerous opportunities related to a number of different planning processes that we've had, the county and the city have had the opportunity to do a lot of engagement. Throughout the engagement process, we have found there to be a lot of excitement about this project and that the public is largely very supportive of the project. We as staff took some time to really try to summarize in an accurate way the vocalization of questions and concerns that we have been asked about the project as we've moved forward, and we really want to make sure we give those adequate time at this meeting for the commission to understand. We would categorize them as largely being in the categories of folks having questions and concerns about the tax burden to city and county residents for the acquisition and ongoing management costs. 2, whether public access through local government is the right outcome for the property. And 3, how different uses and conservation needs of the properties can best be blended. We have taken this project through numerous city and county advisory bodies, the City Parks and Recreation Board, the County Parks and Trails Advisory Board, the City Open Space Advisory Committee, and the County Open Lands Citizen Advisory Committee. All have lended their recommendation and support to the project. That's our summary of public comment. There were a number received. Those that are in written form or in survey form are all included in our materials, supporting materials for this agenda item. If anybody wants to find out more information or where they can locate those, please reference the staff report that's attached to this agenda item, and you'll be linked through that to all the different sources where you can find more detail about these public comments. So at this point, we're just about on the cusp of turning it over to you all for your decision making. We do have 2 recommended motions for you today. The first is related to the interlocal agreement and finalizing the conceptual master plan. And the second is related to the landowner agreements that will move us towards acquisition of the properties. With that, I just want to give one more thank you to the landowners who stepped in to protect these properties for us while we could work through our public process, community organizations who have committed their time and effort, and to our committee members who made multiple site trips and sat through laborious meetings. And I would love if the commission would allow, we have 3 of the landowners here, and they would all like the opportunity to get up and provide a brief comment as to their vision for this.
It'd be wonderful.
I think you just turned the mic off.
Mic off. There we go. Thank you. Juniper, thank you so much. My name is Gates Watson, Northwest Director for the Conservation Fund. On behalf of the Conservation Fund, I'd like to thank Missoula County and the Missoula County Commissioners for their leadership and support of the vision of Marshall Mountain Park. It's an exciting opportunity to build out our recreation infrastructure and preserve open space. It's a big lift, I know, but it's one that will pay dividends to our community in the future. And also just a quick thanks to the City of Missoula, the other landowners, Izzy Dog, Five Valleys Land Trust, and all the many, many dedicated partners that have been so supportive. It's been a real privilege for the Conservation Fund to be a part of this broader effort, and I'm just real thankful. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Whitney.
Thank you. Greetings, commissioners and staff. I'm Whitney Schwab. I'm the executive director of Five Valleys Land Trust. And I want to start actually by thanking all of you for running such a wonderful public process. Staff are incredibly hard workers, and I know that the your level of commitment and dedication to this effort absolutely mirrors the community and partners process that has come alongside to help us reach this point. And it's pretty exciting to be here. Five Valleys is thrilled to be in the position to honor the Nature Conservancy's legacy of ensuring a community outcome for this property, for our parcel, as well as the whole footprint. So it's a really neat time to be at this crossroads. The Nature Conservancy generously donated that property. We've been stewards of it for the past 9 years, and we're thrilled to continue that legacy by making a land donation on behalf of this effort. So thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for all the work that's been done. And please know that we will continue to be good partners into the future, whether we're the landowners or not. So we're really excited for the future of Marshall Mountain. Thanks.
I'm representing Izzy Dog LLC, and I really don't know what to say other than to say that sitting here and listening to Juniper and Kaylee present and seeing all the partners who have been working with us for so long on this project, all of the goodwill, community support from the city, the county, just people that you bump into at the store and the gas station makes me really, really aware of how lucky I am to live in Missoula and how much I love Missoula and Missoula County. So we are thrilled to be a part of this project. We're thrilled that this outcome is on the cusp of fruition, and think that it's going to be a great thing for residents of the city and the county for many years and generations to come. The only other thing I can think of to say is that sitting back there thinking about the people involved in the process, I got a little bit teared up thinking about John Engen and how much I wish that he could be here to have a handshake and a hug at the finish line. Anyway, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Stegmeyer. I'm Executive Director of Mountain Bike Missoula. We're a local trail advocacy maintenance builder here in Missoula. And I've talked to you a few times about my group's support for Marshall and what it means to us having the opportunity to build trail there. And just the main thing that comes to mind at this time is appreciation for local government, seeing how important preservation of critical public land is. As someone's said to me many times, with property like this, there ain't making any more of it. And you guys really saw that. You're all advocates of access and people getting outside, being healthy, and that includes the opportunity to have these places preserved. So mainly, I think on behalf of my group and just me and my family, we really value you guys having that value set and being able to balance that in combination with all the other critical needs in the community. So thank you for doing that hard work. We remain a committed partner going forward. We're already talking with county staff about how we can support, and having previously worked in county parks and trails, I know how partnerships mean so much. And so I'm happy to be on the other end of that and stepping up in that role. So thank you.
John. Anybody else is welcome to say something if you want. No, absolutely. There was another person. Please, you're very welcome to speak.
Was there more owners that would like this? Are you sure? Okay, thank you. My name is Sue Holden, and I'm with the East Missoula Community Council. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Congratulations on this. We know the vote is more than likely inevitable, but we in East Missoula are very concerned with the traffic impact that this is going to have, and nowhere has any of the traffic potential issues that are going to be more of a reality been mentioned. I've attended other meetings. We've submitted written comment during public comment periods, and the traffic seems to have kind of been put wayside. So our big concern is with the mountain going to be going again, you have two ways to get to it, through East Missoula or from the Bonner Way. And right now, Highway 200 through East Missoula, gosh, last year we saw the impact that the new Shauron parking lot had. And that was awesome because that parking lot was filled nearly every single day, so much so that people still parked alongside the highway, even though most of them got towed, but there was still traffic that parked along the highway. So there was a big impact with the completion of that parking lot. Now we're seeing it's really difficult to get onto Highway 200 in most of the intersections throughout East Missoula. Traffic is so heavy through East Missoula that we're actually quite surprised that nobody's been hit and killed or injured very badly. So is there going to be plans for traffic impact? Yes, I see you shaking your head, so yay. And we still have high hopes with the Highway 200 corridor project that should that funding come through, it's going to make it so much better and have so much more opportunity. So, we still are hanging on that. We're growing at kind of a rapid pace out there. And so I don't know by how many citizens, but we've got 3 new apartments, buildings that have gone up. Well, 2 of them are still going up, but they're right there near Highway 200. So we're just very concerned about the impact of what that increased traffic is going to do. So I'll just leave it at that since you're shaking your head. And it's comforting to know that that hasn't been forgotten. I'd like to say that East Missoula as a community was more involved in the community impact. We tend to be forgotten about out there, and hopefully that's changing as well. So you guys did a great job on your presentation. It was very understandable, easy to understand. So thank you, appreciate it. Thank you to the commissioners and to the rest of the staff. We just really appreciate your support and your time for the East Missoula community. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. And I got to do it, Vinny. I'm sorry. Just give me a sec, Jeff. Please, you can stand there. So, Sue, thank you so much. And those are really important concerns, and I'm really glad that you shared them. So thank you for that. And I'm really glad, too, that you brought up the Highway 200 corridor plan, where we put real money working with the MPO to work with designers and traffic engineers to see how can we fix the situation that you very accurately described. It's really dangerous trying to get onto Highway 200 because the approaches are not defined. The Highway 200 corridor plan would define those approaches, greatly increase safety. And we are actively looking for funding, and I'm certain at some point we'll get it done. And when you mentioned the speed and the congestion in that area, Dave and I were on site chatting with residents not that long ago. And we have been in touch with Public Works and MDT to eventually, we'll have to get MDT's permission, but this will be through a traffic study to change the speed limit from the top of Brickyard Hill to where you make a left and go up Marshall Grade. So that's all under consideration, and everything you said I agree with and is accurate. I just want to make sure you know it is not at all sidelined nor forgotten.
Thank you, Josh.
In fact, thank you.
Another item I might mention is a lot of people are now starting to bypass Highway 200, and as they come off from either under the underpass or from the interstate. They're turning right onto Heighton and then turning onto Speedway, which is also the bus route. Speedway is kind of becoming a main thoroughfare, and Mountain Line takes that route, and that road's pretty rough. And I don't know, I would have to talk to Shane whatnot, but given an increase in traffic that's bypassing Highway 200 and using Speedway and going all the way down to the Triangle to get back onto Highway 200, that Speedway is going to need to be considered,
Oh, yeah.
with in a reasonable time as well for improvement. So
You're right.
thank you very much. I
Yeah,
appreciate your
you bet.
comments.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Crouch, Crouch, and I'm here today representing Friends of Marshall Mountain. My 4 co-chairs and I have been working, it feels like for 10 years, but only a year and a half or 2 years on this project. And we all came together. I think Jed has been working for 10 years on this project. Actually, he's one of my co-chairs as well. But we all came together because we believe in this as a public park for everyone, forever. And I'm thrilled today and excited that it feels like we're transitioning from, can we get this thing to happen, to let's start focusing on the details. And I want to thank everybody, county staff, city staff, the other primary partners, and the hundreds of private citizens who have called, emailed, come up to me after meetings to share their stories and their passion about Marshall Mountain. It's phenomenal, and I'm really excited to be able to participate in this process. Mainly, I want to say today that Friends of Marshall Mountain is here for the hard work that it looks to be in front of us now, which is making this reality. The master plan is significant, and there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of money to be raised. And I just want everybody at the county to know that we're not going anywhere. We already have raised a significant amount of money, and we have a significant budget to continue to raise to try to start to see those at least phase 1 things of the master plan implemented. So thank you, everybody, and we'll be talking.
Thanks, Jeff. Anybody else or anyone online want to say anything? Everyone.
A good storyteller. Is it true that yeah, this wasn't something like a county priority and like we're gonna like make this happen right away? This was kind of something that was like bubbling along in the background for 20 some odd years, and then suddenly some private landowners and the stars started to align. I mean, some really special things happened to get to where we are now, and it was yeah, it's just kind of magical and very intentional and a lot of hard work. And it's just, I think so impressive of how quickly all the partners came together to accomplish this and get to where we are now. I mean, people have been kind of dreaming and thinking about Marshall, but not in we just, yeah, the stars weren't aligned, and then suddenly it seemed to happen. But I would.
Well, you did a good job with that one. There is an adage that says you come to understand how much you value something when you see it, you might lose it.
There we go.
And I think this whole situation came to a crescendo. It was, as you described, bubbling along in the background forever. And I think we assumed Marshall was a lot like the other chunks of, I'm going to say, public land nearby, that they are just part of our life here. And then we found out that Marshall was going to go away. And then the Izzy Dog folks stepped in and could act quickly and nimbly in the way that government just can't, and helped make this a reality. I've talked with community groups all around about how do we get the county to do X, like fill in the blank. And my response is, we need diverse funding sources, broad community support to meet some obvious need. And this hit all of those. Talk about broad community support and diverse funding sources. We have philanthropy and landowners and the city and the county and nonprofit groups And soon, I think we'll be bringing a lot of kind of the small piece of a capital campaign together through the Friends Group. It clicks them all. And we'll eventually end up with, strangely enough, things as we once thought they were, that Marshall will be part of life, as Jeff said, for everyone forever. That's where we're headed.
So why is there community support? You would hear the question from some folks raised or framed in a way that would lead you to believe that this is a completely speculative action on our part and that we're just deploying resources in hopes that someone will use this site. Well, friends, that's not the case. It is being used. It has been well loved and used for decades. It is being well used and programmed as we speak. So this is no speculative endeavor. This is seeing the results and bearing the fruit of community support already. And this place and the use of this place goes back not just generations, but millennia. We are but stewards of this landscape. And I think Haley alluded to this earlier, that one of our longtime partners who we hope will continue to partner with us in this undertaking, in this journey as we move forward as stewards, are the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. They are the original stewards of this place that we call home. We in this room call home, and many others have called home for a very long time. There absolutely is work to be done. What we're doing today is not the end of the finish line. I think Jeff might have alluded to work yet to be done. This is the start of many folks in this room and beyond rolling up their sleeves and figuring out the next steps to truly make this a reality. So at a personal and professional level, I certainly would like to thank Five Valleys, the Conservation Fund, Rick and Izzy Dog for your great generosity. And also, I definitely want to mention East Missoula. So East Missoula's concerns have not been lost on us. You are not forgotten. And as Commissioner Slotnick mentioned, as we speak, we have an application in with the U.S. Department of Transportation to bring in excess of $20 million to do much long overdue work throughout the Highway 200 corridor. And so we're working hard to address concerns that we share with you and recognize as needing to be addressed. So it's with a great deal of gratitude that I'm pleased to see those motions whenever they come up. And if anyone is wondering, it is 74 degrees and sunny somewhere in the world, just not here in Missoula, Montana, if you're looking at your screen. So.
Oh,
Do you want to give us the motion?
Yeah, do we have motions?
well,
If we're ready for that.
Yeah.
I was like gonna look on my phone. Can't read it.
The anticipation is killing me.
Be micro size.
Okay,
There we
I
go.
would be happy to make the first motion here. I move, if we're ready for that.
Yes,
Josh.
please.
Okay, let's do it. I would move that we adopt and sign the 2023 interlocal agreement between Missoula County and the City of Missoula for the acquisition, development, management, and recreation programming of Marshall Mountain, and finalize the 2023 Marshall Mountain Park Conceptual Master Plan.
Second.
All right, any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move that we authorize the acquisition of 3 parcels totaling approximately 480 acres comprising Marshall Mountain Park by Missoula County by exercising the options to purchase the Izzy Dog and Five Valleys Land Trust and entering into a purchase and sale agreement with the Conservation Fund.
Second.
Any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I believe we're done. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.